Science Center, and it's 3:30, and we're going to talk today about something that, well, you could make a scientific observation. This is going to be a real quick one this afternoon because this is about something that you can see this evening in the night sky. I was driving west last night and just was able to get a good look. The clouds cleared enough so I could get a good look at the sky just after the sunset. And I saw a light in the sky that was absolutely brilliant. It was beautiful. And I hadn't realized that Venus was going to be so visible right here at the beginning of November. And Venus only shows up, you can only see Venus either in the sunrise or the sunset. And we're going to talk about why that is in a little while. But you got a chance just now at the beginning of November to see three planets, to get a really good view of three planets in the night sky. And there's of course a lot of other things you can see in the night sky if you wanted to, well, for one thing, these planets of course are a lot closer to the Earth than the stars are. So if you wanted to use a telescope, you might probably get a pretty good view of these planets. And instead of looking at just a little bright dot of light in the sky, you'd actually see, for example, round disk of Jupiter, and sometimes you can see the moons of Jupiter crossing that image. You might be able to see with a fairly decent telescope, might be able to see the rings of Saturn. And for Venus, you might be able to see the disk of Venus too, because this is a very good opportunity to see all three of those, and they're going to be lined up in the night sky in a special way. It's going to be easy to see. Now, when you go to, say, an astronomy website, you'll probably and read about what's happening in the night sky and what you can see. You'll encounter some references to, say, Capella is X number of degrees from this star or that star, or this constellation. And they use sky marks to determine where to look in the night sky. And one thing they will say is they'll refer to width of a fist at arm's length. And you look at a lot of different people. People have different size hands and different length arms and so forth, but actually it works pretty well. That if you hold your fist up and at arm's length and place that in your vision, say between the moon and something else, that fist is going to be about 10 degrees. About 10 degrees of space, you're looking out, it describes about a 10-degree angle that you're looking at. And if they say, 2.5 fists, that's about 25 degrees. And it works pretty well. And sometimes they'll say just a finger width. And I know people have different sizes of fingers and so forth, but actually when you're looking at things way out there in the sky, a finger width is about the same from one human being to another. So that's a good way to get an idea of where to look for things. And you'll find that in a lot of references that you might find online or in a book about exploring the night sky, especially without a telescope. But a lot of people these days find that binoculars are very handy. If you have a good set of binoculars, that's a good way to start looking at the night sky. You don't need a big telescope on a tripod with special mounting to follow the stars as they go across the sky. If you want to get started, a good way to do it is just use a good pair of binoculars. Take those out, and there are binoculars that are specially made for observing the night sky, astronomical binoculars, yeah. But a good pair of sporting binoculars to find in the sporting goods store, that's a good way to start. Now, I was going to tell you about what planets you can see in the night sky, and the three that are very visible now, especially in the early evening, are Venus, Saturn, and Jupiter. And they line up in a row, kind of in the south-southwest, right after sunset. If you're looking, well, here we are in northern Minnesota, and what you want to do to take a good look at Venus is wait till just after sunset, and you're facing west toward the sunset. Venus will be up and to the left a little bit. That's a little bit south, looking south-southwest. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's almost hard to believe it's an astronomical, a celestial body out there in space. It looks almost like an artificial light, as if a plane were coming into land. But it's a planet. Now, a little bit later in the evening, as the sky gets darker, you'll be able to see. I'll draw it for you. I've got a diagram here of, this is a very rough diagram. Obviously, I can't draw to save my life, but I've got a diagram here of the way planets are arranged in their orbits. And just so you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about here, if you're looking south-southwest, you'll see the sunrise here, you'll see the sunset here, and this area is the sunset, and if you're looking a little bit to the left and up, you'll see Venus, very bright, and then look a little bit more to the left and up at an angle, you'll see Saturn, and up at an angle from that, you'll see Jupiter. Now, Venus, of course, is very close to the Earth. Saturn is far from the Earth. Jupiter is between Saturn and the Earth. But, you know, when we look out from the Earth, we're talking about when we see things in the night sky, we're looking from our point of view. And things aren't really arranged like that in space, but they just look like it. For example, you know, Jupiter is closer to the Earth than Saturn is. But right now, Saturn looks like it's here, Jupiter looks like it's here, because of the way the planets orbit. I don't know if that made any sense to you or not. Take a look at this. We always see Venus in the evening sky or the morning sky just before sunrise or just after sunset. That's because Venus orbits closer to the sun than Earth does. If you're out in space and you're, say, there is no up or down in space. Up or down could be anywhere. But if you're looking at the top of the Earth, and you're looking at, I said the top of the Earth, if you're looking at the North Pole of the Earth, such a way that you're looking down at the North Pole, you're way out in space, you're looking down at the North Pole of the Earth, and you can see all the planets in their orbits. They'd all be going around the sun in about the same level. They'd all be within 5 degrees of each other, orbiting like a big disk all around the sun. And that's, if you're looking at the orbits of the planets from that angle, we kind of look a little bit like this. Here's the sun. Terrible diagram, terrible illustration, but here's the sun. The closest planet to the sun would be Mercury, a little planet here, around and around and around. And if you were looking at the Earth, at the North Pole of the Earth, from that angle in space, they would be going what we would say counterclockwise, this way. Mercury is going this way. Venus is the next one out. It's about the same. Mercury is much, much smaller than the Earth. Venus is almost exactly the same size as Earth, but it's much closer to the sun, and it's orbiting like this. And Earth is out here, third planet from the sun, orbiting like this. Sometimes we call these the inner planets. And of course, the reason that we see Venus either in the sunrise or the sunset is because most of the time we can't see it, because when we're turned that direction, we're looking at the sun. And as our planet turns a little bit away from the sun, sometimes you get just the right angle, and you can see sunlight reflecting from the Earth, from the sun to Venus to the Earth, just as our planet is starting to turn away from the sun, and we say that's sunset. And we can see, you know, Venus shining in the night sky close to the sunset. But we can't, if we're looking at the sky at night when it's dark, we're turned away. We're not looking this direction toward Venus. We're looking way out here into the universe. So we can't see Venus when it's full dark and when the Earth is turned away from the sun entirely. Sort of like this. Here's a little blow-up globe. Here's North America, and Minnesota would be right about here. So in the daytime, now the axis of the Earth tilts a little bit, and that's what gives us our seasons. Either way, for the northern hemisphere, when we're tilted away from the sun, going through colder time, we're tilting toward the sun as we go around. Sunlight is hitting us more strongly this way, and we have warmer temperatures. We call it summer. Anyway, let's imagine that the sun is over here. Okay, that's the direction of the sun. Mercury is going around the sun. Venus is going around the sun that way. And here we are on Earth. If we're looking toward Venus and Mercury, it's daytime, because here we are on the Earth, right about here, and the sun's over there, and the Earth is turned toward the sun. It's daylight. The only way we can see Venus is if we turn just a little bit this way. Well, actually, we're turning this way. Sorry. Turn this way. And Venus is over there someplace. If it's at just the right spot, we can get a reflection from the sun, Venus, where we are, and we can see it until we turn away and we're looking at the dark universe way out there, away from our star, and that's what we call night. Daytime, you can see the orbits of Venus, looking toward the orbits of Venus and Mercury, and being around here to about evening when you can no longer see the sun because the Earth is turning us away from it. And if we get just the right angle, we'll be able to see Venus, and then turn farther away, and it's night, and Venus is invisible. Tonight, Venus will be in the sky till about 8:43. I believe it sets, from our point of view, it goes below our horizon at about 8:43. Before that, in that time when it's starting to get dark, between, say, sunset around 6:30 or so, 6:45, and the time Venus goes below the horizon, you'll have an hour and a half, 2 hours to get a really good look at it. I encourage you to go out and take a look at it because it's brilliant. But also, as we're looking at Venus, now from our point of view, if the sun is over here and Venus is between us and the sun, right now, Jupiter and Saturn, the orbits of Jupiter and Saturn, have the planets out in this part of the universe. And I don't know, James, is this making any sense? Can you see what's going on? Okay. Because as we turn away from them, turn away from the sun and Venus, Saturn and Jupiter are out there in the universe, and we get a pretty good look at them. And Saturn and Jupiter are going to be in our sky. Well, Saturn's going to set sometime around 11:30, I think, maybe toward midnight. And that it sets because we're here in Minnesota, and Venus and Saturn are out there. As we turn, the Earth keeps turning around its axis. They go out of sight because we're now looking out this way instead of looking that way. But for those evening hours, we get a really good look at 3 planets. Venus, you can kind of see Mercury and the sun rise these days. Mercury's in another position. You can see it as we try to turn toward the sun. Kind of hard to see, but we got a really good look at Venus. Mars, by the way, is pretty much on the other side of the sun. It's pretty much invisible now. You can't see it because it's blocked by daylight. But here we go, we can see Venus. Turn this way. Saturn and Jupiter are out this way. We get a really good look at it. And then eventually, getting on toward midnight, Saturn sets first, then Jupiter about an hour later, and we're looking at this part of the universe, even though it looks up to us. That's why you can see those particular planets right now. We get a really good look at them. Right now, our view of the night sky is changing from, use this again, is changing from a summer night sky to a winter night sky. Yes, that's the sun over there, the sun is over there. When we're looking at, we're just transitioning now to a winter sky. And when we were transitioning from to a summer sky, we were on the other side of the sun. Just traveling around the sun like this. On the other side of the sun, you get a look at that part of the universe. When Earth is turned away from the sun, and we have night on our half of the planet. Over here, we've gone all the way around the sun. We're on the other side of the sun now. And when Earth turns away from the sun, when we have night, this side is in sunlight, this side is in darkness. We see that part of the universe. So it's a whole different side of the universe, from our point of view, of stars. Right now, the stars that we call the summer triangle, Vega, Deneb, and Altair, are beginning to get closer and closer to the horizon, going farther and farther west in the evening. In the middle of summer, they're right overhead. The summer triangle is right overhead. As we go farther and farther around in our orbit, that becomes less and less visible because we're seeing it as our planet is turning away from it, and it looks like it's setting in the west. But as we turn, we start to see the winter constellations like Taurus and Orion and Canis Major, Canis Minor, Gemini. Those things are coming up into our view because we're moving around in our orbit to the opposite side of the sun, and as our planet turns away from us, our part of the planet turns away from the sun, they become visible to us. This is kind of a fun time. You can see summer constellations and winter constellations in the sky mixed, our fall sky. But tonight, go out and take a look. Take a look at, well, in the southwest, and see if you can see Venus. Hopefully the clouds will give you a chance to do that. See Venus, a very, very, very bright thing, probably the brightest thing you'll see in the sky. And then going up in kind of a diagonal line. If Venus is here, Saturn will be here, Jupiter will be up there. And you'll be able to see them and identify them really